Major Bowman, how you doing?
Hi, Mr. Vicks. How are you doing this morning?
I'm here,
Look,
president accounted for.
I feel you on that. It is a Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Mhm.
It is. It is.
Oh, that's
Let's.
I got echoing. Okay. I don't know where Taryn is at. I don't know what she's doing, but we're gonna my picture on? No, I'll turn it off. There we go. There we go. I don't know where Miss Middlebrooks is at, but we're gonna go ahead and go ahead and get started because it is 10. I want to honor your time and everything because I know you're very busy and everything. So
Yeah, just to let you know, this time period is one in which is a little bit flexible for me because I have an additional half an hour after. Um, but I know that you guys are more on a time crunch than I am today.
gotcha.
So
Okay, I got you. Let's see. Let me go ahead and pull up your bio. All right. Let's see if anybody watching. Okay. All right, students and teachers, good morning. We are here with Major Bowman. I'm gonna read her bio. She is a wonderful person, a friend of Miss Middlebrooks. Matter of fact, Middlebrooks is just coming on now, so let me wait for her to get on. I'm gonna let her introduce you.
yeah.
Okay, Miss Middlebrooks, you can unmute and turn your camera on if you like.
Good morning. I am trying to. I'm having that same issue that I had with the volume coming through. Hold on. Let me see.
Just to let you know, Ms. Middlebrooks, we can see you and hear you loud and clear on our end.
What you say?
I said we can see and hear you.
No, I was telling you all that I was having problems with the volume.
Oh, okay.
But I have it now. Thank you.
Mr. Vicks was waiting for you to come on so you can go ahead and introduce me, ma'am.
I am. I'm here. I'm ready.
Oh, you here? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Hi, seventh graders. As you know, I am Miss Middlebrooks. And today we are having a spotlight on Major Tiny Bowman. I have known Tiny since we were in the sixth grade. She has accomplished a great deal of things. I had her bio up, but I'll let her fill you all in on it. First, she started off, with college, moved on to law school, Florida Coastal Law School. Then she joined the military um, I think as a defense attorney. Am I right?
Just at the JAG, and I was an assistant staff judge advocate at the time.
And she was assistant advocate judge. But she's going to tell more about herself. But I just wanted to introduce you to her. I'm so proud of her. She's like one of my best friends, and she just wanted to share with you her accomplishments and hoping that it would inspire you all. I wanted to show you all a picture of us. Let's see if I can pull it up. Give me 1 second. How do I share? Do y'all see share screen?
Yeah, if you move your cursor down, it should open up a number of options at the bottom.
The green one.
Oh, the
The
green one.
green one. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. That's a picture of us Christmas a couple Christmases ago. So this isn't someone that I'm just making up. I love her dearly, and I invite you all to listen to her and Major Bowman. Sorry, I'm a little nervous and I don't know why, but the platform is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen really quickly. I'm sorry, Ms. Middlebrooks, you're gonna have to unshare yours so I can go ahead and start sharing mine.
Yes, ma'am. There you
Awesome.
go.
There we go. Share that.
I'm sorry. Before you start, I failed to mention that with it being Women's International Month, we've also finished with Black History Month, that Major Bowman is 1 out of 7 Black judges, trial judges for the military. So it's 7 of them, and she's 1 out of the 7 Black judges. So not only is that Black History, but also happy Women's Month to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, students. I greatly appreciate the school allowing me to do this. This is something that is near and dear to my heart, to always speak to students, to let them know sort of where I've come from, what I've and where I am, so they can understand that in life, your choices dictate sort of where you end up, and how difficult and how slow or fast you may get to where you want to be. But before I start, I do have to give a disclaimer. The statements and opinions expressed during this presentation are my own and are not those of the Department of Defense, Air Force, or the trial judiciary. So just to give you guys a little bit of a background of what we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about a little bit about me, sort of getting to my legal career, because I have not always been in the military, my current duties, continuing education, how today as students, how you act and how you work and operate can shape your future, and definitely a few thank yous. So a little bit about me, as they all said, my name is Tiny Bowman. My hometown is Ellenwood, Georgia, by way of Frankfurt, Germany. I was born in Frankfurt, Germany. My dad was in the military, in the Army himself. That's why I chose Air Force, because he told me not to go into the Army. My high school, I did go to Cedar Grove High School in Ellenwood, Georgia, and went on to graduate from the best university in the world. I did 4 years there. And if you guys do not know the best university in the world, let me go ahead and introduce y'all to that. That is Florida A&M University. And so if at any point in time you guys have any questions about Florida A&M down in Tallahassee, Florida, please do not hesitate to ask me any questions, because I love my alma mater. I did go to law school, Florida Coastal School of Law. That was down in Jacksonville, Florida, and that was an additional 3 years of school. This is my family. My family, we do have a military family. That is me holding the baby. The baby is my grandson. The gentleman in the back, the shorter gentleman in the back with the beret, black beret, is my son, who is 27. My 2 younger kids, the one in the orange shorts, he's 12, that's Aiden. Then Madison, who is 19, she's actually in college herself. Then there is my daughter-in-law in the front, and then my husband in the back. So just a little bit about my legal career. After graduating from law school, I actually took a quick hiatus from anything legal. And that had everything to do with sort of my own personal stuff. My mom was diagnosed, or my grandmother was sick at the time, and I had to come back to Atlanta to help her out. And I was only licensed in Florida at the time and not Georgia. But once I left Georgia, I did start my own law office of Tiny L. Williams, Esquire. Yes, my last name was previously Williams, where I did family law and I did criminal law. Anything criminal, from DUIs to murders, things of that nature, that's what I touched. I then went on to the Office of the State Attorney's First Judicial Circuit out in Pensacola, Florida. There, I was a prosecutor where I did misdemeanor and felony cases. Those cases in and of themselves, again, stemmed or were similar to what I was discussing when I was a defense attorney. If you wonder which one I had more gratification doing, I will say that as much as I love doing defense work, I did appreciate more so being a prosecutor, because as a prosecutor, I had more discretion for the defendants than I did as a defense attorney. As a prosecutor, I could look at a case and I could actually dismiss a case if I felt like that it was warranted. Yes, Ms. Middlebrooks, I see that your hand is raised.
Yes, we can't see your presentation. Like, we can see it on the screen, but it's not moving, so we didn't see your pictures or anything.
Oh, you didn't, let's see. So you guys didn't see the family photo?
No, ma'am.
That's interesting.
Probably have to share your presentation screen, or just if you're gonna use the same screen, just change the slides as you go.
Say that one more time.
Because the screen is up, just the PowerPoint, the application. But if you want to share the presentation screen, you have to share the actual presentation. Like go back in the share and then click on presentation screen.
Let me close that. Are you all able to see this?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
Okay, then what I'll do is I'll work from this screen as opposed to the presentation screen that pops up when I hit presentation, if that works for you all.
Info.
Okay, so here we go. Sorry, let me go back through. And can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So again, this is my wonderful family. The slides and everything you guys will have available if you need them. For whatever reason, I'll make sure that Ms. Middlebrooks has those. But as I was saying earlier, sort of the best gratification that I received was really as a prosecutor, because it allowed me to be able to show a lot of discretion on my end as a prosecutor. When I was a prosecutor in Pensacola, I came in as I was the second African-American prosecutor. The other individual who was there before me, she did eventually leave, and I was literally the only African-American prosecutor in Pensacola, Florida, for probably about 2 years before I joined the military and before they started looking or interviewing other people who look like me. I bring that up because for me, and for the judicial system, you always want to make sure that when making determinations, you always want to have sort of a person who is able to see sort of many different views when making these very important decisions on people's lives. And then my Air Force career. I know that if you guys are looking at this particular slide, there is a lot of words on that one. But I did join the JAG Corps in 2012. My first job or my first duty location was in Dover Air Force Base, Delaware. There, I want to say that this is one of those things that, going back to what I learned in high school, what I learned in college from a not necessarily educational standpoint, but more so from a life standpoint, let me get to where I was at this job and actually excel. I was the chief of civil law, the chief of contracts, the chief of administrative actions, and the chief of military justice. Sort of just to give you an idea of these jobs, civil law deals with everything that really wasn't criminal. Contracts are just what it is. I looked at contracts for the base. So I looked at multi-million-dollar contracts and did the legal reviews on those. Administrative actions dealt with sort of lower level employment type of stuff. And then, of course, military justice, which is what the criminal law area would be. If you notice, I put asterisks by contracts, administrative actions, and military justice, those chief positions, because for about 5 months, I was the chief of all three of those by myself, because we did not have enough individuals at my office to cover down on those. My second assignment came in 2015, where I moved to Louisiana. I did not want to move to Louisiana in any way, shape, or form. I wanted to go to Florida. I was a Florida girl through and through, but I will say that the good Lord did watch over me, because that was probably one of the better defense jobs that I've had when it came down to the places that I could go. So I was there for 2 years, where I then turned around and was sent to Texas, which is where I've had my third, fourth, and fifth assignment, all here in San Antonio, Texas. I was a senior defense counsel. That particular position was doing defense work, but it also was supervisory, where I supervised multiple legal offices as well as other attorneys and paralegals in multiple states throughout the country. I also then became the staff judge advocate. Staff judge advocate is just fancy terms for head attorney. I was the head attorney for Air Force and Space Force recruiting service. So if you heard anything about recruiting, if you saw a recruiting office, if you saw an Air Force commercial, in between 2020 and 2023, I put my hands on it. I had to always look at those, look at them legally from a legal perspective, and make sure that they were cleared in order for that to come through. And now I am a military judge. As Terrence or as Ms. Middlebrooks was telling you all, I am one of 7 African American trial judges in the Department of Defense. What that means is that there are only 7 African American judges in every service. That means Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps. In this picture, we just did a joint military judges training. The 7th individual, she was not part of this photo because she got sick the night before, and so she was not part of it. But I am 7 out of DOD, and I am the only one in the Air Force. As far as understanding, we are in International Women's History Month. I am one of, I think right now, 5 women who are judges in the Air Force, and we have about 25. If that gives you a general idea. As a military judge, I preside over pretty much all criminal. I can preside over all criminal cases. I also look and I make decisions on warrants. As far as the criminal cases go, they range from unbecoming of an officer, which is not necessarily civilian crime, but more specific to the military, all the way up to things such as murder. As far as my cases, my caseload is pretty steady. Unlike what you may know or what you may see in on the civilian world, where a judge stays in an area and they have their courtroom there and all the cases come there, we actually travel to the cases that we have. So say, for instance, I have been to England, I have been to Alaska, I have been to Oklahoma. I can go anywhere worldwide that the Air Force says that they need me to preside over cases. So now, speaking about myself, one of the things that I would now want to turn to is how today can shape your future. I bring this up mainly because if you speak with Ms. Middlebrooks of how I was, my mouth was reckless back in the day, to say the least. I could care less about what people had to say about me. Anything that came to my mind, I was going to say it. I did not care how I said it. I had no tact in any way, shape, or form in the words that I said to people, and I was ready to fight anybody who said otherwise, right? But growing up, those are the things that we do. But at the same time, my mom and my aunts and my grandmother would tell me often, that's not going to get you far. Your attitude is going to really mess you up. People are not going to want to sponsor you. Sponsor basically is the idea of having your back and placing you in front of people and speaking your name in rooms in which you are not in. But understanding that I am sitting in a position as a military judge, being an attorney and being a judge is something that I have wanted to do since I was 7 years old. I watched my mom struggle significantly financially, trying to raise myself and my 2 brothers. As I was growing up, I used to watch a show, and I know you guys don't know anything about it, but some of your teachers and administrators just might. I used to watch a show with my grandmother all the time called Perry Mason. And I used to watch him so intently. And Perry Mason, he won every case. And it wasn't that he won every case that I was focused on. It was more so that I was focused on the fact that he was helping individuals who really needed the help, who could not help themselves. And he advocated for them zealously and professionally with regard to that. And that was why I said I wanted to be an attorney, because I felt like being an attorney would help my mom and other people in situations such as that, which is the reason why I became an attorney. But after going through and listening to my aunts and understanding that if I continued my attitude, there would be no way for me to become an attorney, no way for me to become a judge, no way for me to be able to help anybody in any situation if I'm getting in trouble myself. That really shaped my ideas of how I needed to change. Don't get me wrong, if you speak to anybody who works with me or has worked with me, I still say what needs to be said, because the reality is there is nothing in life that you should be quiet on if you know that it is the right thing. It is not what you say, but it is how you say it. But I want to play this quick clip for you guys, a part of this video for you. Our previous First Lady, Michelle Obama, did a really great job with sort of expressing sort of what I'm saying, because as my parents used to, or my mom and my grandmother and my aunts used to tell me, things are going to get worse before they get better if you don't change yourself. Let's see. Let's see if it's going to play in this format. Can you all see this video before I play it?
No, ma'am.
Let's see. What do you all see now?
I can see it now.
You can see it now? Okay, awesome.
Yes. Major Bowman, we can't hear it.
You can't hear it either?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What I'll do, Ms. Middlebrook, is I will share the link with you. So that way you have an opportunity to share with the students later. Because I don't want to waste, or I don't want to miss the amount of time that I do have with you all. But the crux of the video that Michelle Obama was talking about, she was telling she was being interviewed, and she was discussing how she talks to her daughters and expresses to them that what they do right now is really just practice on what they're going to be later. If you practice untruthfulness, you will continue to be untruthful. If you practice humbleness, you will be humble. So what that means is practicing is what you are doing today, as young as you may be, and you think that, oh, I'm young, things will not affect my life. They do. The more and more you say, I can just hold off on doing this or doing that, you will be a procrastinator. How do I know? I am a procrastinator through and through. But understanding that I had to work very hard with practicing not to procrastinate, because I understood that procrastination only led to further anxiety and sort of negative effects on myself as well as my work when I was in high school and in college. Now, although I did fairly well in high school and in college, I graduated with honors. I know that I could have done so much better had I actually been practicing much better in life, those good qualities. She also goes on to discuss mistakes. Know that in the positions that you are in, you're sort of in this sort of crazy realm in which you have the ability to make mistakes. And those mistakes, most of the mistakes that you will make, you will say, oh my God, I'm not going to do this. This is going to happen to me. Understand most of those mistakes you can get past. Most of those mistakes in and of themselves will allow you to be able to learn from those and move on and actually be a better person the next day. Don't dwell too much on those. But she does speak about those big mistakes, and you have to be very careful about those big mistakes. And as you all see on the screen, I talk about associations and snitching. I want to just kind of talk about those, and sort of these are big mistakes that people made that have landed them in positions that they never in life thought that they would ever be in. And the first case is the JM case. And I talk about associations, and associations really mean by what I mean by that are the people that you hang with, the people who you call friends, the people who you call cousin, but ain't your cousin. And in this particular case, this gentleman, 19 years old, he was going to Florida A&M University, very first individual in his family to ever go to college. JM was coming back from spring break. and he was being picked up by his cousin. Cousin by association, not by blood or marriage or any way, shape, or form. Just it was a friend of his that he said was his cousin. He picks him up. JM has his bags with him. His book bag has a computer in his book bag, has all the money that he has left in his book bag, his wallet, things of that nature. What JM does not know when he's being picked up by his cousin is the fact that his cousin intends on going to make a quick stop to do a drug deal. He goes to make this drug deal. And what the cousin does not know is that those individuals don't plan on buying the drugs, they plan on robbing them. There are 3 individuals who come up to the car, all 3 with guns. A fight ensues. One of the individuals drops the gun, one of their guns. JM picks up the gun to ensure that the other gentleman does not get it, and then starts to run after the other guy, one of the other guys who has now taken his book bag that basically has all the things that are probably the most important to him in his life. At that point, he's running, and he runs across the street and runs in front of a black SUV who he thinks is just someone in the neighborhood, and he starts to flag them down to help them. As a matter of fact, the car that he was flagging down was actually that of a police officer, 2 detectives who were actually investigating a murder that happened in the same neighborhood the night before. With that particular case, I was a defense attorney on that case. It still haunts me to this day because this gentleman is serving 20 years right now, because all he was trying to do was go get his stuff. He was found guilty of second-degree attempted murder, and that came from the law enforcement officer said that that they saw him crouched down at the fence line, use that gun that he had in his hand to shoot at the other individual who they did not see. That other individual who was, by the way, who was one of the individuals who robbed him, who had his book bag, came to court and said, yes, he shot at me. I did not get hit in my body, but my T-shirt did get hit. It had a bullet hole in it. Of course, there was no evidence of a bullet hole. Nevertheless, he was convicted. There's a lot of things that I can talk about that case if you have questions about it later. But in this particular instance, one of the main things that I want you all to focus on is the fact that JM was in a situation because of his cousin. That cousin of his, we asked him to come testify. He asked his cousin to come testify. Guess what do you think his cousin did? Did not come testify. Didn't come testify at the trial, did not come and testify even at the sentencing hearing to talk about how great he was. He left him high and dry and up under the 1020 life statute in the state of Florida, because in the commission, they found him guilty of shooting a gun in the commission of a felony. The felony was the drug transaction in which he had no clue about. He is now serving 20 years. He started serving 20 years when he was 19 years old. And he has to serve day for day. You guys might hear about, oh, he gets, he'll get good time, not in the state of Florida, not up under that statute. He has to serve 20 years. So that gentleman will not get out of prison until he is 29. And at that point, he would then have a conviction for attempted murder. The likelihood of him being able to reintegrate smoothly into society again is going to be very difficult for him. His life from now on will be very difficult. The second case, as you all can see, is about snitching. HN. We often have these loyalties with our friends and family members where we're like, hey, if they do something, I ain't going to say nothing on them because I'm not going to be a snitch. And that's what HN did. HN said, oh, he's standing on business. I ain't telling you nothing. There was a case against a gentleman. This is a military case. And there was a case against a gentleman in which someone identified HN as being a firsthand eyewitness. Sort of in the military, when your leadership tells you that you have to come and speak with law enforcement, you have to come and speak to law enforcement. And this individual went down to law enforcement, refused to speak to law enforcement, and ended up in court because he did not want to snitch on his friend. Guess what? His friend got to stay in the military because the eyewitness, him being the eyewitness, would not talk to him, or not talk about him, rather. And HN ended up getting a federal conviction, ended up getting, if I'm not mistaken, 2 months in prison. and then turned around and got kicked out of the military. So not only does he have a federal criminal history, he ended up having to go to jail, and he has no job, all because he decided to say, I'm not going to snitch on my friend. Um, Understanding that, I know that it becomes difficult. I know that sometimes we sit back and we say, hey, it is going to be hard to tell on my friend. It's going to be hard to tell on my family member. But sometimes you have to sit back and think about those consequences, and also think about those associations of whether or not somebody would give up their life for you. And I know that you may not be in a position of saying, well, I'm not in a position where, this is not as bad, you know, but there can be a time where your administration may say, hey, somebody told me that you were part of this. And doggone well, it wasn't you, but you know what happened. Well, at this point, you are now in the position of being suspended, getting detention, having marks on your record. And these are the things where that sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where you have to take the opportunity to start practicing what you want to be now, and being able to speak up now, and being able to make sure that you show integrity now, when it comes to these type of things, because you never know when you're going to be in another situation that may have bigger consequences than what you're facing at school. And this is why we talk about how school is important. School is important not just on an educational level, but if you listen to your administration and your teachers, they are often telling you a whole lot of things that will help you, on a personal level. I will say that education-wise, I got a pretty good education in all the schools that I went to, but there were those sort of extra things that were told to me that made me become the person that I am. And one of the biggest things that I was told by one of the teachers is know that learning will continue. Never understood what that meant. I always thought, well, after I get done with high school and I go to college, I'm going to get a job and I don't have to go and I don't have to do no more school. I was like, Lord, thank God, no more school. But she kept telling me, nope, learning will continue. Never really understood, never really listened. But to give you an idea of how learning will continue, even after law school, these are some of the things that I've had to do, since graduating from law school. I have to do continuing legal education for my law license. I have to do 50 plus hours of education learning for every 3 years of my license. If I do not do that, I cannot practice law. I do not have a job. I'd had to go through commission officer training to be part of the Air Force. I've had to go to the Judge Advocate General School. As you note, that these are things that 8 weeks, 14 weeks. I've had to go to contract law training, fiscal law training, trial training, judges training. And there are just even more. I could just go on and on about all the education that continues. We are never too old to continue to learn. Every day, I make it a point to learn something new each day. So please understand that when you have an opportunity, to really listen to your teachers, listen to your administration, because when I tell you, they are dropping gems on you that you don't even know it. I will tell you that the individuals who work in schools, they do that because they want you to be better. They don't do it for themselves, as a starting point. They do it because they want to see others who are younger, like yourselves, do better in life, do better than them. And that's why I like to speak to, students all the time, because at some point we are all sitting in these positions where everybody's like, oh, that's a principal, oh, that's a counselor, oh, she's a teacher, oh, she's a judge. Guess what? At some point we are going to be gone, and you all have to be our replacements. So please, please, please continue to listen to them. Please continue to practice good habits of who you want to be in the future, and make sure that you are learning as much as possible to go as far as you can. With that being said, I just want to thank a few people. The first being Dr. Krista Williams. I know that she is new to the school. She's your new principal, but I do appreciate, because she is the leadership of that school. Leadership is very critical, in what you do and what you learn and how you go about your day as far as your teachers and other administrators in the school. I also want to really thank Mr. Fabian Vicks. He is the one who I've been reaching out to and speaking with, and he's been coordinating this with me, as along with Ms. Middlebrooks. But of course, I want to thank each of you, because the reality is, I know that you're probably told that you had to be here, but you also didn't have to be here and listen. And so I hope that there is something that I said or something that you can hang your hat on that will make you a better person starting today. If there is anything that any of you need or any questions that you all need, I have no problem speaking and corresponding with students, just so long as your parents are okay with that, and moving forward. But of course, I do want to thank your teacher and my best friend since junior high school. I know that Ms. Middlebrook said that we met in 6th grade, but we did not become friends until junior high school because I could not stand Ms. Middlebrooks before middle school. As a matter of fact, Ms. Middlebrooks and I almost got into a huge fight, physical fight, because she was wearing an all yellow outfit and I called her a bus, and she did not like that. But anywho, the associations and the friendships and the sisterhood that I have created with Ms. Middlebrooks since we were in junior high school is a good association. We have always been focused on making sure that each one of us are better. We went to school, we went to college, we are doing very well for ourselves. And when I talk about associations, please make sure that you are making the right associations. And I will tell you that being Ms. Middlebrooks, one of Ms. Middlebrooks' best friends, as I call her Tay Tay, she is by far has been one of my biggest supporters from the very beginning, from the times that I've gone to law school, to the person that I can call and cry to the person who I can vent to, and who can actually pull me off the ledge from hurting someone. These are the people that you need in your life. So with that, I leave it open to any questions that any student, administrator, or teacher may have.
All right, Major Bowman, thank you. I went and told the teachers and students to go ahead and post their questions in their YouTube chat, see if I can see anything. And right now, I don't have anything at the moment. I'm gonna give it a minute or two because it is like a 30 to 45-second delay from Zoom to YouTube. So it might take a little bit of time for them to post any questions they have. It, kids, teachers, any questions you have about military, being a lawyer, grades, even FAMU, if you have any questions about FAMU. Nothing wrong with FAMU. It's a great school. It's the number one rated HBCU in the country. So if you're gonna go to HBCU, go to FAMU, you're gonna have a time. You're gonna have a time at FAMU.
Mr. Vicks, why do I hear saltiness in your voice?
There's no saltiness.
Oh, okay. Look.
Whatsoever. Whatsoever. Yeah. They didn't want me, even though they could afford me back in the day. I'm old, so I'm not just playing. I wanted to go there, but things didn't work out. But plenty of people, so many staff members here go to FAMU, so that's why I moved. It ain't salty, but it's sea salty. It's healthy. It's sea salt, healthy than regular salt. Students, any questions you may have, trust me, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Any question about being a lawyer or how Tay Tay and Major Bowman been friend, how they been in 6th grade, that type of stuff. Tay Tay.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Tay Tay. I got you. I'll see you in the hallway in about 2 minutes, Tay Tay. I'm seeing you in a couple minutes.
Also, if y'all also want to know, Miss Middlebrooks did used to have a Jerry curl back in the day. It wasn't in that photo, but she did have a Jerry curl.
Excuse me, Tiny. No, you're Tiny. You're not Major Bowman. Tiny. Hey, I did want to tell you.
Send a picture.
I did want to say this before Major Bowman. Excuse me, class. I did want to say this before Major Bowman leave. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to the students here at Dutchtown Middle School, 7th grade. And I also want to tell you all, if you're still listening, because I know we're about to transition, but Tiny, she's always been the type of person that when we were in school, like she said, we didn't become friends until middle school. That picture you seen was 8th grade. But ever since like that age, Tiny was always the one that when report cards came out, if she got like a 91, which was an A, she was like, oh, no, my A need to be higher than it. So this is just like all the stuff that she worked hard for that came into fruition just because of her determination and even her not wanting to limit herself. So if you are that student that wants to keep going. Don't worry about what's around you. Don't worry about if you got a 91 and it's an A and you want a 100. Keep striving to do it. She's just an example of where that can get you. But thanks again, Major Bowman. Love you.
Absolutely. Love you too.
I don't have any questions in the chat, Major Bowman. Teachers and scholars, this link will still be active, so you can show your class, show your scholars again. And if they want to share with their parents, there's no problem with it. The link is still gonna be good. With that being said, we don't have any questions. Major Bowman, we really appreciate. Oh, go ahead, Middlebrook. Go ahead. Oh, you waiting by. We really want to thank you for taking your time out your busy schedule as one of the 7 African American judges. That's an accomplishment in itself right there. Judge, military, then they're just awesome. I'm just happy that you're representing so well in so many communities and Florida and that much stuff. I'm gonna leave you alone there because I'm going to mess with you. But I appreciate you. Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay. Appreciate you. And we got to let everybody get to work. Kids, I'm going to see you in the hallway. We'll holler.
Absolutely. You all have a great one.